Alright, here we go. Start things off, we're going to be replacing the carburetor and servicing this FS91. This carburetor's leaking pretty bad. It's an older machine. Carburetor's pretty old. It's leaking all over the place, so we're going to be replacing the carburetor. So take off the blower housing here, or the shroud. I'm going to blow up all the excess so none of that falls into the carburetor or gets in the fuel lines or anything like that. I use this long reach so it doesn't like splatter all over me because I get into my truck and I don't want to be disgusting. So these two 8mm nuts, remove those. Pretty much every piece of steel equipment uses the same 8mm nuts or the torque screws. Got this steel pry tool, works very well for prying off fuel lines. Then blow off this intake housing, or the air filter housing for that matter. I'm gonna go ahead and flush the fuel system here, get all that debris out of there and the old gas. A lot of times these guys don't mix it how it's supposed to be mixed. So as you can see, that was pretty oiled, so not enough gas, too much oil. There is, I mean, when it says 50-1, it means 50-1. So keep that in mind. You know, too much oil, you're gonna get a lot of carbon buildup on the valves and potentially score the cylinder. Too lean or not enough oil, then you're talking about overheating and also scoring the cylinder. So 50-1 means 50-1. So remove both those fuel lines there. Pry this little linkage off using a flathead screwdriver. Pretty easy to do. Remove that impulse line and then slide the carb off. Slide the new carburetor on there. Pretty straightforward. And then reattach everything. So on the back side, I'm pushing that impulse line as I slide the carburetor on, and it'll slide right into place. Very rarely have to replace those. They honestly kind of self-seal. Use the pliers to snap the linkage back in. It's very easy to do. You just kind of hold the throttle plate. It's hard for you to see because of where the camera is, but I hold the throttle plate open a little bit, and then I push the linkage, the hook linkage, right into its slot. So spark plug, we're not going to mess with that. I was going to replace it, change my mind. The fuel lines, let's go ahead and reattach both of those. One's long and one's short. Longer one's going to be, going to the top, and the bottom one is obviously the shorter one is going to go to the bottom one. The other one, there's a third hose there, as you can see. That's just a tank vent. Just connect that to the air filter housing, as you'll see me do here. And I connected it and slide it right into place. And throw your two 8mm nuts back on there. So now we're probably going to put the cover back on here. The shroud, if you will, is kind of a protector, keeps the cooling in there. You want to make sure that that thing is there, because if not, this machine will overheat. So I'm just kind of blowing out the tank, getting all that debris flushed out of there, or blown out of there. Now we're going to put the screws in for the shroud. So a lot of times these guys will, the cover for where the valve cover is, there's a small cover there. Sometimes that'll be missing. You want that to be there. It needs to be there because the air has to flow and circulate through, and if not, you're not going to get any cooling. So I'm just kind of cleaning out the air filter cover and getting all that nasty debris from the leaking carburetor out of there. Air filter cover goes on. Pretty straightforward. This is how the FS91, the FC91s, the FS111s, all the commercial machines, this is how you do it. So change the fuel filters. As you can see, they start off a bright orange. This one's kind of like midway between replacing, but as they get wider, that's basically when you replace them. That's for OEM anyways. So this one, you can see how bright orange that one is. And that means it's a new fuel filter. We put canned fuel in most of our equipment. If you heard of my other videos, it's good stuff. Fuel cap anchor back in. Put the cap on. We're going to fire this bad boy up. There you go. Primer. Can't prime a machine enough. This one here, since the carburetor was leaking, you're going to see it literally pops off pretty fast. Normally when you put a new carb, it takes a minute, but this one, second pull. And there you have it. Pretty straightforward, nothing crazy. That's all I got for you guys today. We'll catch you guys next time.